Well, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has released, and it is on Steam right now. It looks like it's getting more players than I actually thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be a big dud because of the lack of marketing campaign. And right before this released, I mean, we got this weird expose that the creative director is selling satanic items on a shop. Very, very weird. But it seems like most players are actually saying the game's all right, saying it's pretty good, and that they haven't seen many problems with it so far. Most of the complaints I'm seeing are about performance issues and, of course, system requirements that are causing problems. And but otherwise, it's been positively received. Now, very, very odd because they put huge review embargoes on this. They stopped the game from being seen. And again, if they were confident in the game, I mean, why would they do that? If they knew they had something that was pretty fun for gamers, why wouldn't they just want that word out there as fast as possible? Very odd stuff and lots of odd behavior here all the way around. Now, from what I've seen of the game, they do have that sort of strong female lead lecturing Indiana Jones kind of element to it, which just makes me roll my eyes. But you do play as Indiana Jones, and so I guess that's what people want. I mean, if it seems to be a very simple game. It's pretty straightforward, just a clone of other games in the genre with not much to it. And maybe that's all they needed. Maybe that's all they needed to do to get the happy players in this situation. We'll get into the news in just a moment as we talk about this and talk about the weird Satanism that's behind this director here that, of course, everybody's ignoring. And hit the like and subscribe button. Join us. We're getting very close to 50,000 subscribers. Thank you, gamers. And I am a fantasy author myself without any Satanism. And I would love for you to check out my books. I've got a fantasy book, a science fiction book, and a superhero graphic novel. I give away 3 books to you just for signing up for my newsletter. It's in the description below. Love to have you. Join us, and thank you guys so much for supporting our artistic efforts. It's been a really, really incredible year, and it's all because of people like you. And want to stay connected with you for the long run, so please join me here and join our community. We are saving the culture one step at a time from weirdos like this is really what it comes down to. This is Axel Torvenius, and he sells satanic ritual items through his online web store, the creative director here. YouTuber Andy Pants Gaming did some great work here in the sleuth work, and he brought this web store to the public's attention. He wrote on X, creative director Indiana Jones and the Gay Circle is a Satanist. This is his e-commerce store, torvenius.store. Then he shared pictures of a pentagram altar disc as described as a ritual item, as well as a box of Goetia demon seals, which is really bizarre here. And you might not have heard of that. We'll explain it in just a moment what that means. So he has an entire occult section on his web store, this guy who's running this game. Probably got into this position from selling his soul. That's kind of how this all works, right? With a category and subcategories that include altar and ritual, card decks, coin sets, runes, and Goetia. For those unfamiliar with the term Goetia, it's derived from the Greek word Goetia, I don't know, which, yes, that's right, I'm a professional at this, which means witchcraft or sorcery. It primarily derives from a grimoire used to summon and control 72 demons. It's a very bizarre thing to have on your deal. Now, of course, we talk about on our Fandom Pulse Substack about how this is evil, and the Catholic Church does condemn this, which we also condemn, as the Catechism condemns it. We follow the rules that God set about, so not good stuff. But this is just, again, indicative of the type of employees that end up at these companies. We talked about earlier this morning the Grand Theft Auto employees and just how woke they are over at Rockstar Games. And just you go through the slate of it, and they all are the same because they only hire people who are weird, people in these situations, to work on these larger games. And Indiana Jones is owned by Disney, of course, and so they want to do honor to the great Devil Mouse when they license these games out. Very expensive game to make because of that, and this is a tough IP. I really think that Indiana Jones as an IP was already killed with the last movie. It was pretty rough going in there as they tried to have a full story of a strong female lead lecturing this haphazardly old Indiana Jones. Very sad stuff. And, it was killed in the one before that, too, let's be honest. I mean, the Crystal Skull one was just a train wreck as well. I remember the South Park episode where they had George Lucas and Steven Spielberg literally raping the character to illustrate the point. That's poignant and will stick with me forever. Thanks, South Park guys. And so this is where they launched this game from, with very, very little marketing, review embargoes, crazy stuff up front. Now let's look at a couple reaction to this. Grums is talking about this immediately, and he said, and he's looking at the system requirements, which is pretty crazy. I don't understand why you'd need 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 3080 Ti for this type of game at 1440p. I really want to like this game too. And apparently, like, there are some issues with the performance, that it is glitching out for a bunch of people. I've seen in the reviews also. That seems to be a standard complaint for the people who do dislike the game. Now, Yellow Flash has also commented about this and said Indiana Jones is the Great Circle is a great example of why review embargoes should go away. They lost a lot of hype, holding them back into the last minute. And from what I'm seeing, gamers are showing a mostly positive reaction to the game that's coming out right now, which I'm actually surprised about. I figured the storytelling would be kind of an anti-Indiana Jones strong female lead kind of thing, but I'm not seeing a lot of talk about that on here. Most people are just talking about how it's a pretty decent adventure platformer, and with that, there's not going to have a lot of innovation, not going to have a lot of twists. But the reviews are overwhelmingly positive so far. Now, there are only 250 reviews at this point or so we're going to keep that with a caveat as we talk about this. Somebody's just excited about Indiana Jones, and a lot of people are going to be very excited about the property up front. I waited 21 years for this. It ought to be good. So somebody recommended it with only 2.7 hours in it. Such an awesome intro, runs really well. Optimized looks amazing. A winner here. Just like a movie, the game runs super smooth, not one hiccup. 45 minutes in so far. Nazis, I hate these guys. That's not quite. Uncharted meets Wolfenstein. That's the game in a nutshell. That's a pretty good review right there. And that's exactly. This is finally a review where it says something that you'd actually be like. Graphics are good. Feels like you're in an Indiana Jones movie. Haven't run into any bugs so far. So a lot of people are not criticizing the story. Maybe there's not that much story or not that much going on at that point. And maybe it is actually a playable thing. Most of the complaints so far actually just say the game requires ray tracing. Again, this is about system requirements right away. Crappy thing to wait to share 24 hours in advance because, again, they just killed review embargoes, or they had a review embargo on this. Played 5 minutes, looks great. Then after the first death, game stutters like nonstop. Again, this is going to be and this guy has the 4090 and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Pretty crazy. And so ray tracing required, another one. So again, system requirements seem to be the main deal. Now, they also ran into a problem here. We pay $100 for early access in the day of release. We find out the game will be missing features until the day one patch. So it really was an unplayable game as the early release, which is a problem. And this is something that Star Wars Outlaws ran into also, is that the early release, there was a day one patch that required players to restart their game. So again, there was no point to having the early release in the premium edition because of that. And these companies are doing this more and more, that like these premium editions are not worth it. The early releases are not worth it. And that's something that I think that consumers really should be compensated for. I mean, if they're going to do this to people to make a game a lot less playable, that is a major problem on that front, but it's only going to apply to those premium release people as well. So as of right now, it is sitting at close to about 4,000 players out there. And with the 4,000 players, that's a little higher than I thought. I thought it was not going to hit 3,000 players, and I thought it was going to be lower than that. So it is doing okay. It is number 7 on the Steam sales charts right now, and we'll be covering how it goes and what we think of the reception and whether it's going to be making money or not. But as of right now, it does look like the game is better than most people thought, which is very odd since they did try to hide reviews. You would have thought they would have pushed this a little harder, generated a lot more hype for the game. It is the company's marketing prerogative, but it's probably the company's marketing problem as this started. Regardless, this has some just very scary things behind it based on the creative director, and that should be noted as well. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Really appreciate you guys for being there. Make sure to join my newsletter in the description below, and thank you guys. We'll be back soon.